This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sander's is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in our business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken down into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the past week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. We have timestamps in the description to navigate these sections easily. Today is January 10th, 2026, and we're recording episode 92. So what do you have for your life update this week? I'm going to move my haul because I'm afraid it's going to fuck with the focus for the camera.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, life update.
So this week I got an offer from the engineering firm you referred me to.
Hika.
Yes. So got an offer from there, which
Nice.
is nice.
Congratulations.
One option. Thank you. And also had my Blue Origin interview, which was 4 different people. And it turns out that between the person who onboarded or like started my interview process
Mm-hmm.
to the second person I interviewed and then the 4 today,
Yeah.
every single person has been different. And
Oh.
I've pretty much had an interview with every single person on the integrated test engineer team.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's wow, that's thorough.
Yeah. So I've interviewed with a lot of the people. I think the interview went well. You know,
Good.
it's challenging for me sometimes to answer the questions because by nature they're very broad.
Yeah.
It's like if you just completed an integrated test and you want to retest in a different configuration with the same equipment within a week timeline, what are the first things that you look at? It's like, okay, well, like
Does any of the equipment
what is the scale of the different configuration? Are
Right.
we going to be subject to different temperatures, different pressures?
Does any of the equipment need to be swapped out from the first test?
And then like what hazards are we dealing with? How is that going to affect personnel, right? Like
Right.
there's a lot of different things that go into that. And so it's challenging for me. Like they asked me, what are the 4 things you would do in order? So they want like
Oh,
a
got it.
process assessment and them in order. So the first thing I said was like assessing hazards for personnel. And then
Yes.
I talked about har- hardware and software differences for the integration of the tests. And I think I mentioned a couple other things, but I babbled. But
Yeah.
anyways,
See, that's tough though, because that's like they have a specific like program that they follow that is not the same across all IT&E
yeah,
teams.
it's also tough because I don't know if they want to hear my like gut logical instinct or based on my experience at NASA.
Right.
Because a lot of like the NASA protocol, like in my mind, can be silly.
Right.
And so for me looking at that, like I also only have like 45 minutes a piece for each one of these people.
And they've got a ton of questions.
And they have questions, but then also um my main concern was I don't want to walk away from the 45 minutes with them thinking, "Oh, this guy just kind of runs it by his bootstraps."
Right.
Right? And so, like, I put a larger emphasis on, like, safety and personnel,
Right.
but also balancing that with, like, calculated risk,
Right.
right? And so they asked me about, like, some situations of, like, calculated risk and stuff like that. And so I gave them some examples from my NASA time. Um, and I weaved in, like, a very little Autobahn stuff in there and mostly leveraged the Autobahn side of things for, like, I think what makes my application unique and my skill set unique is that I have a mechanical physical experience
Mhm.
coupled with an engineering background.
Right.
Um, and so kind of pairing that I think is like mostly where I use the Autobahn experience in the
I put
interview.
I put my Dutchy Enterprise experience running the plasma machinery because
Oh yeah.
I did the 3-axis plasma table, and then I did the 3-axis plasma tube cutter, and I worked both machines. Actually, it's funny because the first day there, Dutchy taught me how to use the machine. He was like, "Just watch me, and then day 2, I'm gonna teach you how to do it." And I was like, "Okay." So day 1, I just watched him, and then day 2, it's 8 AM, and he just taught me how to reset the machine if there's a problem because the the way it works is it sets its origin point by touching the tip of I want to say the
The
extractor, the
cutter.
extruder, yeah, to the metal,
Yeah.
and then the conductivity between the system closes the loop, and that's how it knows where the surface of the
Okay.
metal is, right? But sometimes it doesn't read that right because the tip is nasty or the metal is not clean, and so it just rams through and breaks everything. You have to reset it. So he had just taught me how to reset it, and we were about to go into our first cuts of the day. And the manager came by and he told Dutchy he needs to go to Orlando on a job site to take care of some stuff. And Dutchy was like, okay, well, this will have to wait for tomorrow. And I was like, cool. And so he left. And then the manager came by and he was like, I need you to cut these parts today. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, we've got 200 parts that need to be cut. You have to do them all today. And I was like, oh. And I didn't know how to run the machine. And so um, I managed to do it all. And like they were decent cuts. And so I came back and Dutchy came back the next day and he opened up the part file and I was like, those are done. We're on to these now. And he was like, you did all these yesterday? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, how? And I was like, I just figured it out. So he looked at the parts and he was like, these are surprisingly good for having just watched for one day and then like figured it out. And so I put that on my job application for Northrop thinking that it would apply. Like, oh, I have fabrication experience, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get into like the type of fabrication they're doing on my project, it's like, oh, it's like applying to like Juilliard's art school and I learned how to play the clarinet in middle school. You know, it was like not applicable at all, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah. It's a so I mean I tried my best in it. We'll see what they come back with.
Yeah.
Um and see what they say. And then I also called up NASA
Mm-hmm.
and called up my old manager's manager
Booty
there.
call.
What?
The booty call.
Booty call. Yeah. Um
2 a.m. You up?
but I called him and they really want me to come back. They actually lost another person after I left
Shocking.
from the same team.
It's like no one wants to work there.
It's wild. Yeah. But there are pros and cons. From what I gather from the integrated test engineer position, no overtime pay
Mm-hmm.
and the hours are going to be worse.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be like 60 plus hours a week and random shifts. Like they couldn't give me a shift outline because they constantly rotate between shifts based on demand.
Right.
And given that Blue Origin is ramping up production from the person that you and I know, that you initially referred to
Yep.
me about Blue Origin, as well as old coworker that moved to Blue Origin that I chatted with,
Right.
they're ramping up and the hours are getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
And so
Without pay. So it's the same issue that you had at Deck 4, but without pay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so kind of what I'm thinking right now is if I get an offer from Blue Origin to try and leverage it to a higher salary at the NASA side
Yeah.
and take the NASA back also because there is the option for hybrid with NASA. There is no option for Blue Origin with hybrid.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like it depends on their offer from Blue Origin and I have to think about it some more too.
Well, the bracket for Blue Origin is like the pay window is like all in the six-figure range, right? Which is pretty good.
Yeah, 101 to 108, yeah.
Right. But if you were making like 80 with your overtime at the previous job, it's like, okay, you have to work overtime.
Yeah, I was
Without
at
pay.
I was at 78 plus overtime. That was that. So if I can negotiate up to like 86 or 88
Right.
plus overtime, my pay will be equivalent and I will have flexibility.
So that's the offer you need from NASA to match the Blue Origin offer.
Yeah, approximately. I haven't done the exact math on it, but roughhousing it like back of hand, I need 86 to 88.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there's pros to both, and it depends on where you want to go with it too. Because if you're looking at like career longevity, collecting like the big company Infinity Stones is like so the reason that
Yeah.
Hika gave the independent contractor window is because in the Department of Defense, the career path is like once you get in a DoD company, like once you have any type of clearance, you automatically are preferred over every other candidate, right? So like within the DoD, now that I have my top secret, I can kind of pick whatever company I want to go to, and then I will have a job offer there in some category, in some
Yeah.
position, just because I have the clearance, because it costs so much money and takes so much time to get people clearances.
Yeah.
So I automatically have preferential treatment. So once you get into one of the sub or prime contractors, the career path is to jump around as fast as possible. Like as
Yeah.
soon, like once you get in a job, stay for like 2 or 3 months and then immediately start applying other places because 2 or 3 months is seen in the DoD as long enough to kind of get the gist of what you're doing there. And you can mark that down as having experience. And so my coworker who passed away from back cancer,
Yeah.
he had worked at 3 different prime contractors, and he had previously worked at Northrop before those 3. Or, to begin with. He worked at Northrop and then Lockheed and then Boeing and then Northrop again. So four different career shifts and twice at Northrop.
Yeah.
And he was, I think, 32 years old, but he was making like 180K.
Yeah.
And it's because he just went like bang, 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 like jumped all between them. So it's not uncommon for if you want like a career path here to try to get as many as you can. But if you're looking for something to like pay the bills until you can go into racing, then it probably doesn't make sense to pick something that you isn't going to fulfill you, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm 50-50 on it, and still balancing my options. There's pros and cons,
Yeah.
for sure. So it's just something I think about. Take the weekend to kind of simmer on it and see if they even get back to me with an offer.
Yeah, that's true.
Factor too.
Well, you could have 3 offers from
Yeah.
NASA, Boeing, and Hika
Yeah, yeah.
by the end of the weekend.
Right.
So that'd be a great position to be.
Yeah, I think it would probably come mid to end next week, but yes, within the next week for sure.
Right, right.
But that was the updates on those. And then additionally for wife, Sammy's work building is closed for they're I don't know if I can they're doing a test.
Okay.
The building is closed. Um and so she has all telework next week.
Uh-huh.
And so she's decided that she's going to do a road trip to Tennessee, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, she booked this Thursday. She left this morning. So she's gone for a week doing that. Because we don't have the weekend, she wanted to do a date last night. So we did with a couple of her friends. We went to a Stranger Things party at Pineapples, Galley. It was fun.
Are you familiar with what's happening in Stranger Things right now?
No.
Can I update you on this?
Sure.
You know the Game of Thrones ending, right?
No.
All right. Let me give you some backstory.
I don't know if I want to know.
Let me give you some backstory.
Because I know I've watched season 1 through 4.
I'll
I
leave
didn't
out
watch 5.
I'll leave out spoilers.
Okay.
Okay. TV show endings are a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Lost, huge TV show,
Yeah.
very controversial ending. Sopranos just
Mm.
cuts to black and no one knows what that's supposed to mean. Does it mean he died? No one knows, right? So TV show endings are important. I think like it wasn't quite 10 years, maybe like 8 years ago, Game of Thrones ended. And it was a horrific last season and a catastrophic final episode, right? So like the finale was just horrendous. And people flamed the directors, they flamed the whole TV show. It screwed over the rewatchability of the whole TV show
Oh,
for
wow.
people, right? It was that bad.
Wow.
And the reason is because George R.R. Martin, the writer of the Game of Thrones books, had not finished the books yet. And so the TV show started after the books were beginning to be written, and they caught up and then surpassed the book status. So the writers of the TV show had to write the ending of this entire book series. They are not authors, they're script writers.
Yeah.
That's a big burden for them, right? But even given that burden, they still fucked it up. So it was really bad, right? There has not been a huge like TV show like Game of Thrones since then, right? Until Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So Stranger
Stranger
Things
Things was big.
big, dude.
Yeah.
A Netflix original IP
Yeah.
that everybody watched. It's the biggest show on Netflix. I think Squid Game might have beaten it for the one season that it came out, but
Yeah.
not season 2. Stranger Things is like the behemoth, right? And so this is their final season. It's been announced it's their final season, right? And they're releasing it in three sections, right?
Yep.
So 4 episodes come out the day before Thanksgiving, 4 episodes come out the day before Christmas, and then the last episode comes out on New Year's Eve, right? So 8 p.m. New Year's Eve. That's the setup for the Stranger Things finale. The first 4 episodes go by, and people are like, okay, this is not that bad. This is like, status quo with where we figured it would be at. The next 4 episodes are real weak. People are like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is weird. There's the big gay scene where the guy comes out for 12 minutes or whatever, right? As the world is ending, they have an intervention where one of the guys is like, I'm gay. It's the 1980s. So what do you expect to happen? That doesn't happen. Everyone's accepting of him,
Yeah.
which is nice for the story. It's all made up anyway, so who cares if it's the 1980s, right? But it's weird. It's like, okay, well, that took a long time. And then the finale comes out and it falls flat. It's like, okay, there's some good parts, but there's also some really terribly inconsistent parts that don't make sense. The final boss battle is shorter than the coming out scene from the penultimate episode. And so now everyone is like, what the fuck is going on? This is so weird. And so the final episode comes out on New Year's Eve. Everyone's kind of like, well, this is weird. But then this theory comes out. No one really knows where the theory came from. It wasn't started by like one person, like several people came up with this. But through all of Stranger Things, the directors have taught the audience to look for continuity errors, right? So like if someone's shirt is green in one frame and then it's blue in the next frame and then it's back to green again, that might not be the prop masters fucking up. That might be a signal that the character you're viewing in the TV show is under the spell of the big bad guy, right?
Mm.
So they're teaching you continuity errors, people being in the wrong place, people saying the wrong things is a plot device. It's not a fuck up, it's a plot device, right?
Mm.
In the final season, there's a scene where one of the characters, their costume rides up a little bit and you can see an Under Armour sleeve on, right? And everyone caught the Under Armour sleeve and they were like, that's a fuck up. And so they went back and they fixed that. So they edited out the Under Armour in the TV show, right? So now, after the finale has aired, everyone's calling out these continuity errors in the last like 4 or 5 episodes, and no one's going back and fixing them. And so now people are going, oh, well, what if at the end of the first 4 episodes that aired on Thanksgiving, what if the main character was put under the curse of the big bad guy, and now the whole second half of the season is manipulated and it's a fake story that's being put on by the big bad guy, and that's why there's all these weird continuity errors. And
Mm.
they are weird continuity errors, and they're not going back and fixing them like the Under Armour. So there's something intentional going on, right? And there's like at first I was like, that's crazy fan cope because like we saw it with the end of Game of Thrones. Like
Yeah.
people didn't want it to be over, right? But then I started looking into it, and there's so many like things that you could say are coincidences, and then there's so many things that are like, no, that's a blatant line in the script that the directors are telling you. Characters break the fourth wall and look at the camera and say shit, right?
Yeah.
And it feels real off. And so people started speculating that 7 days after the final episode air, we would get the real finale episode, which would pull the main character out of the spell and actually wrap up the series, right? And so everyone's freaking out about this. People are doing like TV spots and interviews and stuff like that. And like some of the actors are being kind of cagey. Like some like like there is something going on, right? Um, but the seventh comes and no episode airs.
Yeah.
And so everyone now is like crestfallen, they're kind of confused. In the first season, the whole plot of Stranger Things was a mom loses her son and she thinks he's
Yeah.
alive and everyone else thinks he's dead, right?
Right.
But she can communicate with him through Christmas lights she has on
Yeah.
his wall, her wall, right? And so for 7 days, she goes crazy and everyone calls her crazy, and then he comes back, right? And so everyone was predicting, oh, 1 week between TV episodes, right? 7 days, we're all gonna go crazy, everyone's gonna call us crazy, and then the episode's gonna come out. The episode didn't come out. But there is a Stranger Things documentary coming out on the 12th, so Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday. And people are speculating that that documentary is actually going to be it's gonna start off as a documentary, and then it's gonna merge into the actual real final episode.
Oh, interesting.
Because some of the characters were asked to describe the last finale, like the series finale, the final episode, and one of them described it as very meta. And so the actual last episode was not very meta. So maybe this fake series finale will be meta, and it will be
Got it.
the documentary. So the whole strange for okay, so for to preface this, I have not seen the whole last season. I think I watched season 4. It was like fucking years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
But I watched it was New Year's Eve and I couldn't sleep. And so I watched the season finale and I was like, "Meh, that's fine." And then I started learning about what the rest of season 5 was like, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, this shit is weird."
Hmm.
But that's what's going on with Stranger Things. So now
Got
when
it.
you go hang out with your friends, if you guys do a watch party for the real series
I
finale,
will not be doing a watch party.
now you're caught up.
But it was fun. I had a good time. At Pineapples, chilled there. And that's about it for life.
Cool.
That's about all I got.
Cool.
What you got for life this week?
I don't know that I've got like a ton more, but I'll give it a shot. Um, so I started off my week by going back to work. Well, actually, that's not true. I didn't go back to work till like Thursday, but I had to go back to work this week, which kind of sucked. But I took a couple extra days. I went in over the winter break, so I had some hours that I could flex over to this current pay period and not going to work for a little while, which was nice. Um,
Very
Let's
nice.
see, what else do I have? Stranger Things finale I just talked about. That's funny. Lexi Jordan, one of the girls who I went to elementary school and high school with, was hit by a car walking
Oh,
in
shit.
Cocoa Village, and the car wasn't. To my knowledge, the car wasn't speeding, but the car hit her and pinned her against the Cocoa Village playhouse, and she died.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, she was my age, very
Oh,
sweet girl.
fuck. Wow.
The guy
Rest
she
in
was
peace.
with wasn't injured. And it is speculated that the guy driving the car or the truck, who was 64 years old, had some type of medical condition. Like the people are thinking it was a stroke or like a seizure or something like that.
Yeah.
So it just kind of sucks all around for everybody, but very sad.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Tough. Um,
Yeah.
and
Been
it like
rough.
the gut reaction is to be angry at the driver, but then when you find out that he had a stroke and he was 64,
Yeah.
like there is no bigger proponent of getting olds off the road than me. I do not want an 84-year-old with cataracts driving. They pull out on 192 in front of me all the time. They don't get on the gas. The
Yeah.
reaction time is terrible. They should not be driving, right? They turn in front of you when you're in your BMW. They should not be driving. But 64 isn't that old. And if he was otherwise healthy and he just had a stroke, then like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna
I
do?
mean,
You can't help that.
yeah, shit just happens.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's really sad because Cocoa Village is supposed to be a place that's safe to walk around. I mean, the speed limit is 50 miles an hour. And
It's 35 now.
not like through Cocoa Village.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
15 you said.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, like it should be a safe place to walk around, and for a large portion of it, I think it is. So yeah, very sad.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Apart from that, personal finance. So I'm doing every winter break. I start to do my taxes because you can file January 1st and get your tax refund. I spent so much money on real estate this year. Um, I am gonna have a bigger tax write off than I normally would. I think. Because I adjusted my withholding at Northrop such that it should perfectly match up. So they don't owe me anything and I don't owe them anything. But given I spent money on real estate and I can write those off as business expenses under a sole prop, um, I should be getting a tax refund. So I started to do this last week or 2 weeks ago. And I realized that my Quicken wasn't updating properly.
mm,
And I realized it's because when I auto sync my Quicken, um, my my bank accounts will only update data from the past 70 days.
yeah,
So if I update it and then I update it 90 days later, I have 20 days of missing data. Additionally, what I didn't know is for my original upload, it only goes back 2 years. It doesn't go back further than that. So as I've started to patch the holes, what I have come to find is that I actually have a whole financial history going back to 2020, and none of that is reflected in my Quicken. And so I thought to myself, do I just want to do 2025? Because I can go to the beginning of 2025 and all my accounts, set a balance to just match where 2025 started and go from there. Or do I want to go through, add every transaction from every bank account and categorize all of them for my entire financial history and then have that going
mm,
forward? And I thought about it. Um, and I decided to do the every transaction thing because if I wait, I know this is data that I want, right? I want to have it categorized for my own like selfish reasons. I just want to have I want to be able to say I have a whole financial history. I can see
yeah,
how I spent money as an idiot when I was 20. I can see how I spent it as a mature 25-year-old, right? But if I wait to do this until I'm like 28 or 29, now I have to go back and I have to patch like 5 years of data. Right now, I only have to go back and patch like three.
yeah,
So I decided to just do it. So this week I got all of my accounts fixed. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 accounts. So I went back and I updated all of them. And I like manually every transaction line by line, making sure that it was entered, categorized properly, and then balanced.
mhm,
And so once all that was complete, now I'm going through and I'm categorizing the stuff that was already in my Quicken that was uploaded properly, but not formatted to my liking because it was done automatically. So I'm going through and fixing all that now.
cool,
I'm almost done with it. Um, I should finish it this weekend, I think. I had to put it on pause last night. Otherwise, I would have said I would have finished it last night. But as soon as I'm done with it, I'll file my taxes and I'll get my tax return.
cool.
So that was a big chunk of my personal life update this week. And then my last update is I said I was going to start doing streaks because
Oh, yeah,
I I won't break my open house streak record for whatever reason. There's just a worm in my brain that won't let me do it. And so if I do the same thing with going to the gym, then maybe I'm more likely to go to the gym more, right? And so for context, the past like 2 or 3 months, I've gone to the gym maybe like twice a week. Like I've been really bad about it. I have not been consistent. Um, and then like 2 weeks ago, I was like, well, I'm just going to start doing a streak. And right now I'm on a 3-day streak and I've gone 4 times this week.
Cool.
So, and it's only Saturday. So not where I want to be ultimately. I want to be doing it
Still
every
better
day,
though.
but it's still better. Right.
Yeah.
Um, and depending on what my Whoop says about carting today, I might count that as a workout too, depending on how many calories I burn,
Fair enough.
which is maybe a cheat code. But yeah, that's my life update.
Very cool.
What is your business update?
So business this week, I got a few things. The website. So I contacted my old mentor and said, "Hey," I didn't even ask if he wanted to buy it. But I
Mm.
just said, um, essentially like I have to get out of it. Yeah, and I have to sell it. And I asked, "What do you think it's worth?"
Uh-huh.
And he said, "This." I mean, I say really pissed me off. I mean, not much stuff really pisses me off anymore because it's like this year kind of or this past year kind of beat it into me, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was irritating to say the least. And he was like, Traditionally the site is worth the equivalent of 1 month of profit." So for example, if you have 30K revenue and you have 4 grand of profits on the business, would be worth 4 grand.
How much was it making a month when you bought it?
0.
And how much did you pay for it?
8.
Go on.
And so that's the reason that it pissed me off.
Right.
Was like, I mean, on one hand, I was ignorant enough or stupid enough to believe that he was right in selling me this business and it was going to grow and scale and it was going to be great. And for a time, it was doing pretty well.
Ignorance aside though, he he is telling you he's selling you something and then refusing to buy it back for a different reason. Like it reneges on what he said to begin with and his
Yeah.
reasoning for why he sold it to you, right?
Right. Right.
So like
Um,
ignorance aside, it's a scummy move from him.
it is. It is. And so that really pissed me off. Essentially, the business is worthless right now. So I don't know. There is a website that I can go to sell it.
Mhm.
At the as it sits right now, I don't even know if it's worth the five. Like, if someone were to offer me $500 for it,
Mhm.
I don't even know if it's worth the transfer process, the documentation, and all of the handover
Mhm.
because it's quite a bit of work.
Okay.
To like you know hand over the ad account, hand over the social medias, hand over the website, hand over all the data, hand over all the files that I have, hand over all the content. Like, there's a lot of shit.
When you got to refile the LLC in their name, right? Or can you just sell the
I would
website?
just dissolve the LLC. It's their fucking problem now. I don't give a shit. It's like, y- it's just it was just frustrating. I was like, wow, like he sold me on the promise of this business. Like, he could have sold it to me for way less than he did because it wasn't profitable when
He
I
should
got it.
have.
He should have.
By his own rationale, he should have.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and so that frustrated me. Um, and so after, I kind of let that simmer for this week, and I was like, I'm gonna deal with this when the time comes to deal with it. Um, but that was the only website thing I had for business update this week. Outside of that, like, it's not performing. I turned off some of the ads. I'm still testing one of the products, but I think I'm gonna turn it off tonight because it's
That
not converting. So I'm gonna let it just simmer out essentially. Um, and then see what I want to do with it. But
So if you sell the business to someone for $500, do you sell them the debt too from that business, or do you
yeah,
still?
I'm not gonna sell the LLC. Like,
Got it. I see. You just sell the
I
website.
mean, I'm gonna be if I sell the debt with it, like, they're gonna want me to immediately pay all the debt,
Right.
right? Like, it's no,
So if you
I'll sell. It's not even really selling the business. It's like selling the website and selling the ads and selling all the content associated with it,
Right.
and then giving that away, and then the LLC and all that stuff is still my problem.
Got it.
Yeah,
And can you file for bankruptcy within an LLC and just dissolve it?
I don't think I'm going to. Um, it's not a move I want to make after researching and after talking with my mom too.
What's the research say?
Just because there is the potential that it affects my personal credibility as well.
Like your
Um,
credit score?
I do right now, like 780.
No, I mean like it could affect your credit score. You're
Correct.
saying?
Yeah,
Got it.
it can influence those too. Um, and if I don't have to go that route, like it can get really messy.
Okay.
And so, this is like personal between my mom and my baba and I, but they are they are willing to help me in some respects to ensure that I don't have to go down that route.
Okay.
At least to some extent. And obviously, like me applying for jobs and getting a job is part of trying to ensure that essentially we're gonna do everything we can combined.
Mhm.
Up until May when interest starts to accrue and kind of see where we're at.
Gotcha.
But there's also the option of if I have a stable income, I could take out a loan and then use that loan to pay that, and then pay the loan off over the course of 3 to 5 years at a lower rate,
Mhm.
right? So there's options. I don't think I'm gonna go the bankruptcy route.
Just because of the credit score thing?
Just the complications associated with it, the credit score. Um, i i it's just a if I can, I think it would be better for me to I feel as though it would be better if I was like, "No, like, I'm gonna work this out.
Mm.
Like, I'm gonna figure out how to pay this off, and work through it." At least that's how I'm seeing it right now. And my mom is definitely a bigger proponent of, like, "We can help you figure out how to get through this." In that respect, like, still a lot on my plate, but just kind of seeing what we can do at least before May,
Yeah.
and then work from there.
I don't know much about bankruptcy from a mechanic's perspective, but I know that the mechanism exists for a reason, and it's I think it's to not dissuade business owners from trying to start a business because, like, if
Mm.
you try and you put everything into it like you have and it doesn't work out, you're not saddled with the full weight of the repercussions of that for the rest of your life. Like you can cut loose and say, "Hey, listen, I tried and it didn't like I tried to contribute to society, it didn't work, and so now I'm just going free," right?
Yeah.
But it depends on how big of a credit hit it takes and then what you wanna do with that credit, right?
I mean,
So
I think, like, part of it too is, like, there's so many people out there who have, like, massive student loans or, um, any sort of large payment, whether it's house payment, car payment, student loan payment, just general credit card debt. Like, there's a lot of people out there with way more.
Mhm.
And so, like,
But
looking at
they would if they could all sign the dotted line and get rid of it, they would.
the
People bankruptcy out of, like, homes they get foreclosed on, out of car loans.
Yeah, yeah, it's just not a route I wanna take because I believe that I can make it out alternatively between, getting a job, utilizing that income to push it towards the debt, um, you know, either doing a loan or, paying back my mom and baba over the course of time. Like, there are some options here that, I discussed with them over the winter break, and I'm more inclined towards that side.
If you could make it go away, though, you could redivert that money into, like, the next business venture.
Yes, yeah, it could. Um, Part of it's also that
Is it like a
I
pri
think
is
I
it
need
like a
to.
pride thing? Like a
No, it's
personal
not so much a pride thing. I mean, part of it too is like I thought about the story I want to tell too.
Mhm.
Um, and whether this is pride or not pride, I don't personally see it as pride, but like I want to be able to look back on this and go, this was a mistake that then I had to work out of, and I worked out of it and got back to ground zero, and then I started my next thing, right? And kind of have that like I'm at the base level so that in the future I can tell the story of from ground zero. You know what I mean? Like truly ground zero.
Mm.
Like I worked out of my past mistakes and now I'm here. You know what I mean? Kind of like that side of it. Um it's a route that I'm leaning more into right now.
Mhm.
And so we'll see how things develop, but that's
Yeah.
kind of how I'm looking at that side of things.
Mm.
Um but in terms of, I did work on the Porsche this week
Mhm.
as well. I redid the fuel lines underneath by the fuel pump. The more I dig into the car, obviously, the more I notice A, but B, the more some of the previous work makes me concerned.
Who did the previous work?
Um, it was the previous owner's son in California back in the early 2000s.
Okay. So 20-year-old work by not a professional?
He was competent for sure. He
Okay.
used to race, but I don't know who else he had with him working on it, you know.
Or before him?
Yeah, or before him, right? So just generally speaking, some of the previous work makes me a little bit hazy. For example, the manifold. So first off, the fuel injection system on that car is incredibly complicated.
Is
It
it like early EFI?
it is the first production car with fuel injection ever.
That's terrible.
Ever. The Bosch system came out in 1969. They put it in the 914 in 1970, and this car's in 1974.
Jesus Christ.
There's a reason that a vast majority of these cars have been converted to carburetors.
Right. Would
Uh,
you prefer carburetor or would you prefer the all?
no, I want the
OEM
fuel
system?
injection to work.
Got it.
I want that to work.
Gotcha.
Um, not you can get very similar or even the same performance out of carburetors,
Mhm.
but there's something about like having the fuel injection system that like I don't want to run away from that problem.
Okay.
Like I want to make it work, and I want to make it work right. I think I can learn a lot out of that experience. Because carburetors would be pretty easy.
Mhm.
It's like you pretty much remove the ECU and put on Webers,
Right.
and like smoke a cigar and call it a day. Like it's not terribly hard. Um, but the factors that go into it are, of course, you have your electronic fuel pump. Then you have a fuel pressure regulator on the return side, which is kind of interesting.
Yep.
And then you have your manifold pressure sensor,
Mm-hmm.
which is internally calibrated with screws. You have to take it apart to change the calibration on it. And it has to be airtight seal on part of it with two little vents on it.
Hmm.
But that manifold pressure sensor is calibrated internally.
Okay.
Then additionally, you have an air temperature sensor. You have a throttle position sensor. Then you have then also the car's been converted to optical spark instead of points. I don't know if you're familiar with the differences.
I mean, I know the OptiSpark and the Camaro.
Yeah, so optical spark is um when you know like you have a cap and rotor on an old car. So point system would be where there's actual physical contact between the rotor inside and the cap.
Right.
That'd be a point system.
Right.
And or very close to physical contact. And
Yeah.
optical is kind of like a proximity version of that.
Like the OptiSpark.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
Got
has a lot less wear.
Got it.
So the car has been converted to optical via a crane cams system. That was a common upgrade I read on the forums back in the day. Um, and then that is tied, and then additionally from the car from factory has an individual injector that is only used for cold start enrichment
In which cylinder?
in the intake plenum. It just shoots into the intake plenum.
So it's a premix for cold starts.
Yeah, it's just so the regular injectors were fire as well, but this is to enrich the mixture on cold start.
Is it direct or port injection? Other than this
No,
one.
well, it's in the main intake, so it's gonna be port-ish, right? I mean, it's
Got it.
going to all the ports, but yeah.
Okay.
It's like essentially, you familiar with the like the weird 90s American trucks that had throttle? They had like throttle bodies that were fuel injected, but they had a single injector in the throttle body itself.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that system, but just for cold start enrichment.
Interesting. So this is a boxer engine, right?
Yes.
Does it have? It has one central intake that feeds.
Well, it splits off into four.
So it mixes up here and then it spits off into four.
Yes.
Interesting.
But then
That fuel would go a long way.
there's fuel injectors individually that are port injected down low.
And there's the one up
So
top.
that's just for cold start enrichment.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the cold start enrichment is way up here, and then it flows down all in, and then there's the four
Yeah.
on the intake pores.
So once it's
So-
warmed up, that top one will no longer fire.
Gotcha.
But you have these systems together. Some of them, they're all tied in with one another. Then you have an ECU,
Yeah.
right, that actually controls all this stuff. And then all of this stuff is wired up as well, right? And all of these systems have to work together accordingly in order for the car to run well. But I have never driven a 914 that like on the road that's like I know is running properly and
Right.
running really well. Additionally, this is what makes it exponentially more complicated is it's approximately a 50-50% rumor whether the engine was built or not. It may have
In your
been built.
specific car?
Yes. It may have been built. It may have not been built. It may have been bored out. It may have not been bored out. It may have stock pistons. It may not have stock pistons. It may have stock cams. It may not have stock cams. Right? So there's
Huh.
like
So you don't know what your proper air to fuel mixture is.
exactly. I don't know anything about it.
Huh.
Right? And so I don't know right now. I don't know what the inside of the motor looks like.
Mm-hmm.
This poses a whole another issue of when I'm doing valve lash on the cams. Do I use factory valve lash or do I use another valve lash? I got to pop the covers off.
Bend a valve, yeah.
See what the cams are, right? If they're factory cams, then that's good news at least for valve lash spec. But if it's an aftermarket cam, then I'm gonna have to figure out what the lash is like.
Are they overhead cams? Or
Yes,
to the left and to the right cams?
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
4?
2.
Got it, 1 per cylinder bank?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. As far as I understand, yeah.
Cool.
But you got all these systems that tie in together that are very temperamental. If your enrichment injector has a small leak, that'll cause a rich condition. If the manifold pressure sensor has a small leak, that'll cause a rich condition.
Right.
If your fuel pressure is off on the regulator, that could cause a rich or lean condition.
Right.
If the injectors aren't clean, that could cause a rich or lean. Like there's many factors and no way to read any data on it. Like
The ECU doesn't record anything?
there's no way to tie into it.
Like you can't connect to your ECU and read data?
Not from what I've understood and read, there's outside of pulling plugs and feel,
Mm-hmm.
there is no way to tune these cars from any sort of computer.
Wow. So if you did want to tune them, you would just have to flash tune the ECU and see how it
There's not even a flash tune for the ECU. It would just be like aftermarket Motec. Like there's no
replace the
changing the box.
Got it.
Because all of your tuning, the ECU is going to do what the ECU does.
Uh-huh.
The only way to really tune the car is go to wideband O2 sensor with aftermarket ECU.
Got it. So if you do have an aftermarket engine with the stock ECU, it could be running like shit. Because
I mean, I think the car has run well in the past because from what my dad told me, my dad drove it when it was good. And my dad has generally quite a good feel, especially for the older stuff. And he was like, the motor's strong. Like,
Okay.
the motor feels really good. Like when he drove it, he was like, it's a really good feeling car. And from what I can tell, the motor does feel really strong. I am personally inclined to believe that the motor is built because the amount of pressure coming out of that exhaust
Mm-hmm.
is ridiculous.
Okay.
Like the volume pressure, it's like it'll blow your hand back 4 feet away. Like the amount, like just sheer pressure.
Right.
And so I believe that the motor is built.
Okay.
That's speculation.
Right.
But all of these things, right, combined
Is
together.
there like a block number or something like on the engine that you can check?
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Sure,
gonna be a factory block number.
But it would be bored out.
Yeah, it's gonna be
inside,
it would
you
be
wouldn't
bored
be
out
able to
internally.
tell.
I mean,
Huh.
I could try to pull a plug and scope it and see if I can tell whether the pistons are stock or not.
Yeah, but even if you can tell the pistons, you wouldn't know just by looking at the cylinder walls. You'd have to measure it.
I mean, I'm just talking about like looking at the top of the piston. Like
I've
the
got
top
a
of the piston looks what?
I've got a great idea. Fill one of the cylinders with water and then measure how much water comes out.
Yeah, you tried that experiment. I'm gonna pass on that.
Can confirm my engine holds more water than most. It's not stock.
But looking at all these things, even the people who have owned 914s for a long time and know the cars, like the tuning is guesswork, and
Yeah.
there's like 3 people in the country who are like into their like 80s
Mhm.
who are like, yeah, I still know how to tune these engines. Like there's
But
very
like
few.
what inputs do they do to tune them?
I don't know.
On a stock
A lot of the
ECU?
forums are just like, yeah, I brought it to Jeff and he spent a month on it and now it's awesome. Like that's the right.
I mean, my only thinking, like you, there's a couple variables you can change, but most of them are, if for EFI at least, like all of them is the ECU.
Yeah, well, my thing, this is the biggest problem I have, is if I don't know what the car is supposed to feel like, how do I know that the manifold pressure sensor is doing its job properly?
Like, how do you know it's
How do
calibrated?
I know it's functioning properly? Right? Like,
Right.
or how do I know that the air temp sensor is functioning properly.
Right.
How do I know that how do I know that any of these sensors
Yeah.
are actually doing their job properly?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a concern for me. So kind of what I'm thinking right now is I want to get the car on the road,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna ask Tom from Autobahn because he used to do pre-delivery inspections on 914s.
Oh,
And so he doesn't know the car from a racing standpoint.
like when the cars were new?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
He did
That's
like
crazy, dude.
he used to work at Porsche.
Oh,
And
very.
so essentially I want to give the car to him and be like, "Hey, would you be willing to drive this car for a week or for a month?
Right.
Just so like give me a readout on what the good, the bad, and the ugly."
Right.
And so in that respect, that's what I want to do there. The problem gets much more complicated when it gets to wiring because there's several wires that just end.
Yeah.
There's
I've got some of those.
there's several wires that are starting to crack.
Yeah.
There's also this is where it gets the wiring harness gets really friggin' weird for these cars
Mm-hmm.
because essentially,
What? A German car?
well, it's worse than the average. Like, I mean, German cars of this era, like, traditionally shouldn't be that bad. Like, if you get a 911,
Mhm.
like, traditionally not that bad. The problem with this car was it was a coupling between Volkswagen and Porsche, and Porsche wasn't really terribly invested in this car, and they just happened to sell a boatload of them.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening was that every year inside of years,
Mm-hmm.
there were different changes based off of stock inventory.
Mm.
So
From
some
Volkswagen.
cars came with an oil temp sensor. Some cars didn't. Some
Right.
cars had this gauge cluster. Some cars didn't. Some cars had this version of the wiring cars. Some cars didn't. And every single year of the Porsche had a slightly different wiring harness.
Hey, Jesus.
And so looking at all this stuff, like my oil temp sensor has factory wiring going up to a certain point in the harness. And then I found the splice where it shifts over to a different color. And then at that point, it disconnects from the main harness and it just runs alongside it, but it's not tied in with the main harness. It's just a separate wire that goes along it. And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, what happened here? Why would the splice create it? And part of the reason I'm looking at this stuff is like, there are splices in the harness where there will be one wire and then literally 4 inches will be cut out of it, a new wire spliced in, and then it goes back to the factory wire. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
happened in those 4 inches?
Right. What did you cut out?
What and why?
Right.
Right? And so there's weird stuff like that where like, and this is what makes it even more
Do
challenging.
you know who owned the car before you?
No.
Someone like me. Someone who, when there's a wiring issue, you find out where the problem is. You cut it out and you bridge it together, and now it's fixed.
Yeah, and it was like, what makes it even more challenging is that a good amount of the harness like is covered up by this shielding like in the back, and it's like very fragile, and like I don't want to pull into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at all this stuff, and like kind of the approach that I've gotten is I'm going to check resistance readings on the different engine components.
Yeah.
I'm going to check fuel pressure. I'm going to leave it the fuck alone.
The wiring harness.
In terms of the engine bay. Like,
If
just
it's
make
working.
sure that I have continuity
Yeah.
to my main sensors, get a baseline reading on the sensors and ensure that they're at factory specifications, because most of those specifications I can find.
Right.
Ensure that the wiring is good, and then leave it alone.
Gotcha.
And make sure that fuel pressure is good. And I might not even change fuel pressure because I don't know if the motor's built or not, but I just want to get an understanding of what the fuel pressure is at.
Right.
And then just leave it alone.
Right.
Because the moment you start asking too many of these questions, you realize you have a $50,000 bill to make this car new again.
Right.
Right.
I mean, any car. It's is it Theseus's ship, where there's a ship
yeah.
and a board has a nail stuck in it, and so you replace the nail, and then the board is bored out, so you replace the board, and then the sails are torn, so you replace the sails, and at what
Yeah.
point is it a different ship? You can spend endless amount of money in these cars.
Yeah.
Any cars.
And so looking at it, I kind of addressed that issue, at least in my mind for the time being. And then the other thing I worked on this week was interior stuff.
Mhm.
So the car had approximately 3 inches of water sit in it for about 6 months.
6 fucking months?
About that.
3 inches is a lot of water, man.
Yeah. So,
Is that an undercover cop? What
yeah,
fuckers?
it
I didn't know he lived here.
yeah.
Why? How did the water get in?
because the window seals leaked and it sat outside.
Oh, damn, dude.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And uh, so a lot of that stuff there. There's a lot of just luckily the rust isn't that bad,
Right.
but there's a lot of like that orange like surface rust that's just like kind of there,
Yeah.
right?
You can't ever wire wheel it all the way off.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
probably could if I like took every component apart and like right. But a lot of what or some of what I did this week was going in with an air gun and taking apart the entire interior as much as I can, and
Right.
then with an air gun and vacuum, trying to blow out as much debris as I could while vacuuming at the same time, and
Yeah.
just continuous rotation to try and just get it clean-ish.
Yeah.
And then going through and hitting with oil all the lubrication points. So like
Mhm.
steering column, pedal assembly, cables,
Right.
shifter assembly, stuff like that. One thing that I found while I was working on the car was the fuel lines, the return and supply lines run next to the shift lever,
Mhm.
and they're just like a loose tube that just runs through. That's
Soft
just
line?
how it's not really soft line. It's like a if you could imagine like a thin flexible PVC pipe. That's kind of what it is.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these cars caught on fire, and it makes sense. Um, but one thing that I found while I was digging through this stuff was that the person who had run the lines, because the lines have been replaced at some point.
No shock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the work is good, and then others
Yeah.
of it sketches me out, right?
Well, I mean, no shock because it sounds like the lines for factory I mean, they don't strike me as uber reliable, right? So it's not surprising
Yeah.
that they would be replaced at some point with new or OEM parts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But the lines were actually rubbing against the shift lever when you went into a reverse and first.
Oh, Jesus.
And so, I ended up pulling on the lines a little bit and not enough to put tension on them, but just enough to get them to because they were slacking them, so they were curving,
Right.
and then they were rubbing against the shift order. So I
Right.
pulled out the slack a little bit just to bring them in a little bit so that they don't hit the lever anymore.
Where's the one location you don't want to leak in the fuel line? It's right by your hand.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's as I started digging into the car too, like one thing I noticed when I got the car was that the manifold pressure sensor was mounted with like one bolt where it has spots for three, and it was also cocked. And I realized that the reason that it was mounted like that was because the person who redid the fuel lines
Mhm.
previously in the engine bay, they didn't redo all of them, and they didn't redo all the ones down by the fuel pump, which is why I had a leak there and why I did the fuel pump lines
Right.
first.
Right.
There's a lot of fuel pump lines, shockingly. There's like you have your return line to the fuel pump, your supply line to the fuel pump, and you have it's like like a return. It's like a dampener line. I'm not sure exactly how it functions, but
Okay.
you have your supply, your discharge, and your damper. It's like a weird. I have to look back under it to remember how all of it worked. At one point at 2 in the morning, I figured out how it worked, and then at this point, I've forgotten.
I've
But anyways, you have like a
bunch of lines.
web of lines, and so I redid all of those. And I had a field delivery issue for a while. I couldn't figure out what was going on. It ended up that one of the lines was on a bend radius, was actually kinking internally, and I couldn't see it,
Huh.
but it was enough restriction to where I started taking stuff back apart and like blowing through it to see like if there was a restriction because it wasn't getting any fuel to the pump.
Right.
And so I ended up bleeding the system out, and I actually ended up siphoning from the back end on the supply side, essentially sucking on the line until I got fuel in my mouth,
Yep.
and then put the line back
Drained it out.
on. And,
That's how I drained my fuel tank in the Firebird.
yeah,
It's terrible.
I got so much fuel in my mouth doing that because it would get air pockets and stuff like that, and so you just
Yeah.
have to like keep going and going.
Yeah.
So whatever, I got that sorted. But the reason the manifold pressure sensor was like cocked over with one bolt in it, because the injector lines, you have this metal rail, and then you have rubber tubes that go down to the injectors, and then
Okay.
from the sides of the metal rail, you have your transition over to the other side of the motor,
Yep.
and then you have your metal rails. And then you have a diverter with the regulator, and that's what goes on your return line. But then you have your metal rails with the little rubber lines that go down. Those little rubber lines are just cut tube.
Right.
They're just little tubes that are cut. The person who cut them made them a little bit too long. And so the spot for you have a Schrader valve for putting your pressure
Regulator
gauge on.
gauge, yeah.
Yeah. And so that Schrader sticks up and hits the manifold pressure sensor, so you can't rotate the sensor down and bolt it in properly.
So
So I realized stuff like that, right? And like there's like
see, that's just sloppy. Like,
right. And so that's what makes me like worried about some of it, right? That's
Right.
why I start asking all these questions of like what
Right.
is working here and what's not working here.
Right.
Um so stuff like that it weirds me out a little bit. Um and working in the interior, there's lots of weird like nuts missing for the dashboard, like
Mhm.
weird like screws and bolts and stuff like that.
Right.
Stuff that like just like weird stuff that's missing.
Yeah.
I ended up pulling out the radio because there are no speakers in the car, but there was a radio installed. Um, I think there were speakers at one point because the speaker wire was wired in. But at some point that stuff has been removed because there's a whole kick panel that's just gone. Like it's just
Race cars don't need speakers though.
yeah. So I pulled all that stuff out, pulled the antenna out. Um, very similar job to what I did in the Miata in terms of the antenna because I deleted the antenna in that car. So a very similar job there. Um, and so pulled that through and did a lot of cleaning work in the interior. And also trying to figure out what I want to do for seatbelts.
Mhm.
So I want to run the car in HPD events, high performance driving experience events. And for that, the drivers and passenger sides need to have equivalent belting systems. So I can't have a 5-point harness and then him have a 3-point seatbelt,
Right.
right? It's got to be equivalent.
Right.
And so looking at the car, the 5-point that was in there was mounted. It was actually, yeah, 5-point.
Mm.
It was mounted well, but not within modern specifications.
So you have to change the mount.
Because the bottom belt, the individual on the bottom, ties into the seat itself, which is now illegal. You have to have a frame mount for that as well, because
Yeah.
all mounted positions have to be frame mounted.
Right.
Additionally, the way that the belts were mounted on the shoulder straps, they were mounted with flat washers that were through the firewall,
Mhm.
which I'm fine with. The specification though is ambiguous in terms of having material between the flat washers. Do you have to
Mm.
mount it firewall to firewall, like metal to metal flat washers like
Right.
that, or can you have a cloth material in between that because it was mounted through the actual
Belt.
back leather?
Oh, so you would have to cut a hole in the back
No,
leather.
they already did. They already cut that hole and put them through, but that's how it was currently mounted. But
Oh.
I don't know whether that's within specification because having the leather cloth material and then your firewall. I don't know if that's legal or not, right?
But
Because
you
have
already
that.
cut the hole, right?
It's someone else cut the hole. I didn't cut any holes.
Yeah, but there's already a hole there, which would
Yeah,
be the
right.
more conservative approach with the new rules, right? Like it's more conservative to have the washer against the firewall than to have the leather there because we don't know if the leather's allowed or not, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that the leather's already cut out and it's firewall to firewall, it should be okay, right?
Yeah. It should be okay. But the other thing I'm considering here too is that for me to have a 5-point harness, I would have to get a new harness.
Yeah.
But then B, the passenger side would have to be modified for this 5-point harness.
Right.
Um, and then there's also there's different requirements for neck support,
Mhm.
neck brace support. Um, given that you have a harness, and if I just put 3-point seatbelts back in the car, I don't have any of these problems. But
So
the problem is
the neck requirements just a Hans device, or do they want like
yeah, a Hans device, with hard mounting on the car.
oh they want to
the-
mount
Right.
in the car?
And like
Okay.
I don't have any of these issues if I just put 3-point harnesses back in the car.
Oh, then you can't rage HPDE.
No, I can with
Oh.
that, but I just don't have a 5-point harness anymore. I have a 3-point seatbelt in a 51-year-old.
So is it? Are you?
It's a safety thing. That's the only reason I'm thinking about this.
Well, no, I understand, but if you go to 3-point, you can still race HPDE.
Correct.
If you 5-point in the driver's seat and 3-point in the passenger seat, can you still race?
No.
So it has to be
It has to
all
be-
3 or all 5.
It essentially it has to be 3-3, 5-5, 6'6", whatever you do,
They all have to match.
has to match. Has to match. Has to be equivalent safety equipment on drivers and passengers side.
I guess that makes sense. I was gonna call it retarded, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like I wouldn't want more safety than my passenger, right? Or if I'm a passenger, I wouldn't want the driver to have more safety than me,
Yeah.
right? That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Huh.
But part of the reason I was looking at the safety thing is like,
Well,
if
wait.
the car is old and something can fail,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Would you have to retrofit to get the 3-point to fit back in to the driver?
No, the 3-point I could just put back in.
Okay.
It's a lot cheaper of an alternative, and it's
Right.
probably the easiest route to go.
Right.
The thing is I did like having a 5-point harness in the car.
For sure. Yeah.
Like I like that factor.
Yep.
And I feel more comfortable with a 5-point in the car
Mm-hmm.
than I do with like, and I would get new 3-points. Like
Right.
I would get new belts to put in, but
But
even still,
yeah.
right?
Do you have to have a roll cage? Or who?
No, not for my specific car because it's not directly convertible. It's a Targa,
Right.
which is slightly different. And so no, I did look into that as well.
Well, that's good because then you don't have to weld the whole roll cage.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
also more reason to have the 5-point.
yeah. I would like to have a 5-point if I can.
Right.
Um, but this is stuff I was researching and looking into a little bit this week. Oh man, whatever. That was weird. I was like gonna like sneeze yawn. But looking into that stuff there and kind of thinking about the approach I want to take to the car, I think I'm gonna get the car just situated mechanically, and that's what I worked on this week was getting it situated mechanically.
Well, so timeline wise here, I know end goal is HPDE, but on a shorter time horizon, the car runs,
Yeah.
right?
So I got the car. Started.
It has run, right?
Yeah.
But you
It
haven't
run initially when I got back to it.
right,
I had to
right.
get it
Well, when you first got it, it ran, or when you first got it, it didn't run. Then you got it running,
Yeah.
etc. Right? But you didn't drive it for the same reason that my dad hasn't driven the Jag, which is the Jag's tires are from 1988. So
Yeah.
I would presume that now you're getting it mechanically sound. Once that is done, then you'll get new tires on it, new brakes.
I'm redoing brakes now.
Got it.
What I'm gonna do with the brakes is, I'm gonna redo the flex lines are actually pretty new. They were
Okay.
put on at some point recently because like the brass fittings on the lines look very like relatively fresh,
Okay.
and the rubber looks in really good shape.
Good.
So I don't know if I'm gonna redo flex lines or not. I'm gonna drive the car first.
Yeah. See how it feels.
Yeah, and because I might put stainless steel braided lines in there.
Right.
Um,
Do not
but
want a brake failure.
the master cylinder I bought brand new.
That's good.
Brand new master. I bought a rebuild kit for the proportioning valve in the rear. There's a very weird rear brake proportioning valve
Okay.
that what it does is at a certain level of brake pressure, it'll actually stop the rear brake pressure from increasing anymore.
Because you don't want to lock the rears.
Yeah, so you'll have a line like the people have graphed it and you have a line up and then it flat lines and the front will continue climbing.
Interesting. That's
Because
cool.
under high brake pressure, those cars can get squirrely because they're a little bit rear biased.
Yeah.
And so under brake pressure, you don't want the rear to walk up and whip around on you.
Yep.
So that's what they did from factory. A lot of people in the racing scene who have like dialed suspension setups and really good tires will actually remove that proportioning valve.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a route I want to go. I just want to rebuild what's there.
You got to drive the car first and see how you like.
Yeah, I got to figure out what I like and what I don't like.
Right.
But regardless, I mean, I think I want to rebuild it before I delete it.
Right.
And so looking at that there, I'm redoing the master, that system, and then I'm rebuilding all the calipers with new seals, which I feel okay about.
Mhm.
I think that I want to rebuild them and then drive it for a little bit and see how they perform
Yeah.
and kind of go out at like 2 or 3 in the morning on like a long straight
In Mexico.
in Mexico and do some really hard braking.
Right.
Just like go, stop.
Right.
And then check for leaks and see how the calipers perform because I don't want to burst a seal
Yep.
on track in
Right.
a caliper.
Well, that was my thinking on the steel braided lines was like if I gave you an unlimited budget to refresh any single system in the car, the brakes are probably the one that you'd want to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not like
Brakes and fuel system. I
Right.
don't want the car to catch on fire and I don't want the car to not stop.
Exactly. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
those are like the two things.
Those are the big ones. Worst case scenario, if the car does catch on fire, you definitely want to be able to stop. So
Right.
yeah, I think that that's probably most important. Are they single piston calipers?
Dual pistons on all four corners.
Really?
Pretty wild. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool.
All rotors. This was 51 years ago.
Yeah.
Rotors on all four corners
Yeah.
and dual pistons on all four corners.
Yeah. The Jag has rotors on all four, and that was a big deal in the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And then
it's a big deal. It's a big deal today. My Firebird had drums in the back. It was terrible.
yeah. Yeah. Sammy's car from 2017 has drums in the rear.
That's retarded. She has a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah. They came with drums in the rear.
So stupid.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
What the fuck are you doing, Ford?
Yeah.
God.
Wild. But anyways, so I'm redoing that stuff
Uh-huh.
and I wanna kind of see how it goes.
So the goal is to get it running and driving, put some racing slicks on it, drive it around town for a while, see how you like it.
Yeah.
I was joking about the slicks. Are you gonna get slicks or are you gonna get road?
I'm gonna get the same tires that I have on the Miata.
Got it. Okay, good.
The stickiest street legal tire you can buy.
Yeah. And then see how it goes and then make your decisions on like a 5 point or like the legal 5 point or the legal 3 point.
Yeah.
Get it like race ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we
So
drive.
kind of make my decisions from there.
Yeah.
Um and
You said you have new stuff coming in this week?
what?
You said you had new stuff coming in this week? What are you getting?
I don't have any parts coming in. I want to get some tools.
Oh,
I haven't ordered any
that's
more
right.
parts. Yeah.
That's right. You were talking about tools.
I think I'm just gonna find them used on Facebook Marketplace.
What kind of
Cheaper and
tools?
easier. I'm gonna get a rotate one of those rotating grinder wheels and brush wheels
Mhm.
side to side, as well as try to find at least a small vise, and then potentially bolting that up to a wooden table or something I already own.
Yeah.
So either one.
Oh, dude, I got my dad a Vice for Father's Day like 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and it's the like Cadillac of Vices. He really likes it.
Yeah, yeah,
But it was like $250. It was stupid expensive.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice vices, it get pricey.
You know, Vice restoration is one of my like niche passions. I really love watching people restore Vices online.
Yeah,
Because they're such big hunks of metal, like it's hard to fuck them up. They can fall out of condition, but like you can take them apart really easily and clean them and completely refab and restore them,
yeah,
like to their former glory. I love old when people. I used to watch this blacksmith on YouTube, and he would take really old forges from like the 40s and the 50s, and he would take them apart and restore them, and like refrigerators from the 50s. Like they're just so fucking or blenders from the 50s.
yeah.
So fucking good. And like once you restore them, you're like, "Oh, dude, why would I ever buy a new one? Like this is
Right.
so durable, you know?"
I think what I'll probably do is get them used and bolt them up to a piece of um inch plywood
Mhm.
and uh cut that to fit on top of my existing shelf. So I can just place it in that because it's got the little bars that stick up on the corners.
Yeah.
It'll still fit in, and just put that inch piece in there with the tools mounted on it. Call it a day.
Shaw and I had something that we found at a garage sale that we called the murder table
Mm.
because when we bought it, there was like bloodstains on it. So
Oh,
we
jeez.
cleaned the bloodstains off. It was like a square table. Like if you reached, you could pick up either end, but it's like square and it's like roughly maybe like the width of this table, right? So
Yeah.
like this section. And really sturdy legs, really sturdy midsection with like, maybe like a really thick shelf. Like they built this thing out of like fucking 4x4s. Like
Yeah.
it's built, right? And the top was really thick wood. And so what we did was we bought like a 1 inch thick piece of plywood and we bolted it to the top of the table. And then all of the like fuck ass shit that we had to do, like when we had to beat on parts or like break things or whatever, we would
Yeah.
take it to the murder table, destroy the top inch of plywood, and then once a
Just
year we would
replace it.
unbolt it and then replace it.
Yeah.
But like, dude, we beat the shit out of that table. We were trying to remove his differential. I forget exactly what we were trying to do. We were trying to like figure out how to set the backlash, but the bolts on the diff were so tight we couldn't get it out.
Mm.
And so there's a picture. One of my YouTube thumbnails is me standing on the diff on this table, like just completely trying to fuck it. We had gotten the top of this table was so cratered that we were able to like wedge certain parts into certain divots and then use that as like a
Oh,
way
wow.
to secure it to the table. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really fucked, but it was a super useful table. And I actually, in the super shop that I was designing, I was telling you about earlier, the like HVAC system that I had designed. I had a whole section that was like murder table part 2, and the cabinets had a higher point than everywhere else, because most cabinets you want to be able to reach easily, but this one had a higher point, so you could stand on the table if you had to like really like put your back into fucking with some of these
Yeah, yeah,
parts. Yeah.
that's cool. Um, but that's the stuff I'm looking at there. And then I had a short conversation with someone I used to race shifters with,
Uh-huh.
to talk with them about um their coaching experience, what their limitations were,
Uh-huh.
kind of what clientele they chased and why. Um and just a little bit of brainstorming about like that end of things. Although it's not something I'm seriously considering now. I wanted to get just the information there and start to understand it a little bit just to see. But my current approach is still the same of trying to prep it for HPDE and going to the HPDE events.
What kind of stuff did he say?
In the talk with the so it talked about how traditionally like a really young kid or someone over the age of 25 is usually the best to coach,
Mhm.
because a lot of kids actually in the like 14 to 18 range kind of get distracted with other stuff as they're coming through high school,
Mm,
and then the parents, if their kid doesn't perform on track, they'll blame you
mm.
instead of their kid.
Rowing is like that.
Yeah, and then after between 18 and 25, that's usually when a lot of kids go off and start supporting themselves. And so it can be challenging to find kids in that range who can afford coaching.
Right.
And if they can, they're usually with their parent, and then you kind of run into the same issue of the 14 to 18
Right.
range. And then 25 and older, usually that's someone who's stuck with it for a while, who has a passion for it, or has gotten into it later and really has a passion for it.
Yeah.
And so on top of coaching there, they a lot of those folks also want like a companion on track to like help them with stuff or like give them advice and stuff like
Hang
that.
out
So it
with.
can be a little bit easier to work with coaching wise in that respect.
Yeah.
So that's some of what we talked about there. Um, Kind of urged me to shy away from like trying to coach that 14 to 18-year-old gap.
Right.
Um, but we talked about that, talked about her experience with micron data as
Mm.
well and analysis of it, kind of how she learned it. A lot of it like YouTube
Yeah.
and analysis from that perspective, and also just like common sense of like what it should be like, and um the basic principles of braking and acceleration and stuff like that, so you can apply that on the micron side.
Right.
Um and then also talked a little bit about her experience in racing on in track cars
Mhm.
and how that's different and the community is different. It's a lot older of a crowd.
Yeah.
Um, but there are still people that go there to be really competitive and want to be competitive. And so kind of what I'm thinking right now is get the Porsche Prep for HPDE and try to build connections within the vintage Porsche community
Mhm.
around that car and see where that takes me. See what opportunities kind of lie there, and kind of work from there. But that's my first step right now.
Yeah.
I think that the Porsche I could probably get running and driving within the next 3 weeks.
Mhm.
And so that's goal number one,
Mhm.
is that, and then work from there. But that
Nice.
is all I have for business this
Cool.
week. What do you have for your business update?
My business update is a little bit shorter than usual, but it's a little bit shorter of a duration between episodes,
That's true.
so that's okay. I haven't done an open house yet because we recorded the last one on a Sunday or Monday. We recorded on Monday. Now
Yeah.
it's Saturday.
Yep.
So I haven't done an open house yet, but we have one scheduled for tomorrow. So that'll be number 32 in a row. So in the meantime, I've been messaging people from my people I knew from high school contacts list. I'm messaging them just saying like, "Hey, like, are you the same? Like, do I have the right number?" And then I'm giving them my pitch of, you know, I have this package, whatever, right? So I'm messaging people. No one's converted yet, but most people have been chill, and most people have communicated, like, conversated with me, which is nice.
Good.
Um, our military clients are still in the approval process right now, but they got PSC'd to the Space Force base, meaning that they have to move in a certain period of time. Usually it's like 60 to 90 days. So they messaged me on like the 28th or 29th. So as soon as they're done with the pre-approval process with our lender, they're going to let us know how much they've been qualified for, and then we're going to probably go do virtual tours for them. So that is moving forward pretty well, which is good. We have a rental client right now who I had previously found a spot for. Um, he lives in this apartment complex actually, but he got a really good deal on his lease last year, and now they're increasing the rent. So not only is the rent going up a little bit from last year, but also he got a good deal. The rent is normally here, and now it's going up to here, so it's a big delta for him, right?
Oh, wow.
And so he has to move, and his parameters are, he needs a place with a garage, and it's got to be around like a grand a month ish, right?
Oh, wow.
Maybe like 1,300 if he can push it, right? And so for reference, here right now he's paying 1,300 a month for a one bed, one bath, and a garage, which is really good. I pay 1,700 a month for one bed, one bath, no garage. So he got a great deal, right? Um, and so my first client who I sold that house in downtown Melbourne is renting out one of his rooms. He has a big ass garage in the back. So I introduced the two of them. He's renting the room out for 800 bucks. 800 bucks, you get a garage, you're not far from work. That's a great combo, right? Um, but he since then he's looked at a couple other options just to make sure that he has everything like squared away. And he was looking at a home on apartments.com. And this is how it was posed to me. He came to me and he said, "There's a home for rent in Palm Bay. It's a four bed. If I'm remembering correctly, it's a four bed, two bath home, renting for 1,700 a month, and uh, he talked to the owner and he said that he'll rent it out for 1,300 a month. A four bed, four bath home. He'll rent it for 1,300 a month, and he can sublease. So he can have people come stay in the other bedrooms and have them pay him rent, and then
Okay.
he pays the owner rent. Usually for homes, that's illegal generally. You can have multiple people on a lease, but generally speaking, it's illegal to have one person on a lease and then other people paying him
Right.
pays the owner, right? Because you don't want to pocket the difference, right? Um, but he said that the owner was cool with it, and I was like, that smells to me. It's weird. The house was built in 2023. It's a nice house. It's listed online as being rented out for like 1750 a month, which is a really good rate. But at the same time, new builds generally are priced lower. I know right now they're doing really good deals with their mortgage rates. I think I mentioned a while
Yep.
ago when rates were like 6.5%, they were writing rates in the threes. So it's conceivable that someone could have built this house, bought it new, and has a really low monthly payment and can afford to rent it out for 1,700 a month. It's in the middle of nowhere, Palm Bay. So it's tough to rent out there because people don't want to have to drive through all of the Palm Bay suburbs to get to their work. So it would make sense that 1,700 is like a reasonable rate. 1,300 is surprising. It's also surprising that the owner would have it listed as one thing and then offer a $400 a month discount. That doesn't make sense to me. And so I said, let me look into this house and make sure that this is legit. And so I started looking into the history of the house. I figured out when it was built. I pulled up the permits that were pulled on it. I found the owner's name, et cetera, et cetera. But the owner's name was weird. It was under an LLC, which isn't uncommon. A lot of homes are owned by like BlackRock subsidiary companies that then rent it out, right? And it's owned by this group. I can't remember what it's called. It's like 6HB or something like that. It's just some like realty investment group. Um, and I was like, man, this is so weird. Like, I can't figure out why it would be rented out at this level. And so I pull up the company and I'm trying to find who owns the company to find a POC there. And I realized that the number on apartments.com um is just like some company number. It's not like a single guy. And so I got my client back over and I was like, who did you talk to? Because this isn't adding up. And he was like, "Oh, it's this guy, some Indian guy, I don't know his name." And I was like, "Oh, is he the owner of the house?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Did you go tour the house?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "This is so weird. How the fuck did he tour the house? Like, this is such a niche, like an unbelievable opportunity. And usually, if it's unbelievable, like if it's too good to be true, then it is." And so I'm like, what's this guy's number? I'm gonna pull him up on my thing and see if I can tie him to this account. And so I pull up his number and the number isn't registered to any specific person. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? And I was like, so let me get the order of operations down correctly. Here's my interpretation. You go to apartments.com, you call this number, and then you get a text from that number. And he goes, no, no, no. I was looking on apartments.com, skimmed by it, went and did other stuff. And then this guy texted me out of nowhere and said, hey, I saw you were interested in my house. Here, I'll come do this with you. And I was like, oh, well, that doesn't sound right at all. That sounds like a scam. And so I said, let me read the lease. And I read over the lease, and the lease was fine, but it didn't have the owner's name on the lease anywhere. Usually it does. And I was like, this kind of smells. It doesn't say the name of the company that owns the house anywhere. It doesn't have apartments.com anywhere. It's just like a basic, like, you're gonna pay me every month type lease.
Yeah.
Um, and it looks like a lawyer wrote it. It looks like official enough to scam somebody, but it doesn't look like a legit lease. And I go, dude, this smells. And he goes, when we toured the house, we went through the back door. And I was like, okay, I know what happened. This guy has some type of data scraping
Mhm.
organization where he can see what users are looking at these apartments or these homes for rent. When you're interested in one, he contacts apartments.com and says, I want to go look at the house. He schedules the time. He goes and looks at the house. And when he's already there looking at the house, they give you the code to the door or whatever. My client shows up and he tours the house as if the guy's an owner. The guy was asking for an application with his like first name, last name, social security number, etc., and he wanted a down payment. And so I think what would have happened if he continued going through with this is the guy would have taken the down payment and then disappeared, never given him the keys or anything. And so before that happened, we asked him that I was hanging out in the same area as another real
Was
estate
the
agent.
number on the apartments.com listing the same as the number of the person who contacted him?
No.
So this is something like I've seen a lot of really weird scams in e-commerce. Something that I think about too is maybe the guy has a data scraping software, um, and he's not affiliated with the owner in any way. He's not affiliated with apartments.com in any way.
Yep.
He's literally just going to these houses and finding that the back door is unlocked.
That's what we think is happening.
And he's taking people's down payments, stealing their social security number,
Mhm.
taking the money, potentially stealing their identity, and then just running to the next city or next place.
I think that's what's happening. I don't know. It's unclear to me if he just found the back door unlocked or not. Because you can also schedule tours for these
Yeah.
apartments. So he may have, or sorry, for these rental homes.
He may have actually
Usually,
scheduled a tour with the owner, gotten the code, and pretended he's the owner.
right. Or while they're touring the house, he unlocks the back door, leaves it unlocked when they leave, and then he comes back later. For sure a scam. And so, uh, well, we were hanging out in a group with another agent who usually does commercial stuff. And we all decided we were like, you should ask him for ownership documents. And so he asked him, he was like, hey, can you give me some type of proof of ownership for the house? Disappeared. So glad that we caught that, saved him from that. But now he's really bummed because he found this like golden opportunity.
Yeah.
And now he still has to find a place. So my previous client is still renting out his room for 800 a month. That's still an option, right? But now my client was really excited about the idea of having a house that he can sublease. And so now he was like, "Is there any way that we can pull up homes that are owned by a specific guy, not like a company? I don't want to deal with a big company. I just want to know a guy." And so I actually hooked him up with the guy who rents your place because he's renting out another duplex beachside. And so they're gonna go do a tour tomorrow. I think tomorrow. Um, that could be a good hookup. But he was like, "Is there a way to find like a big number of these?" Because you can't search by owner in like apartments.com. And I said, "Yeah, let me check out the MLS." So I pulled up the MLS and then I just made a list of homes for rent. And then I just checked the owner name. And if it was an LLC, I didn't check the box. And if it was a specific name, I checked the box. So I got that list for him, sent it to him. He picked out a number of homes. And so now Grace and I are reaching out to those homes to schedule tours,
Cool.
which is good. But he really wants to rent to own because the guy who did the scam told him that he would be open to rent to own at some point, right? He was like, "Yeah, if you rent for me for 5, 6 months and everything's good, then we could do rent to own." And so now he has this in his head, which sucks because rent to own is super risky in a lot of scenarios, right? You have to have like an ironclad lease to actually make it rent to own. It's better to just buy the house, right? Um, a lot of things with rent to own, there's weird clauses in there, which is like if you have groups of I've seen things like if you have groups of more than 8 people over at a time, then you void your lease and you lose all equity in the home. Or if you leave the home for more than 10 days at a time, then you lose the lease and you lose all rights to the equity in the home, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
It's a tough deal. But I had this thought, which is okay, if he was open to 1,300 a month and subleasing, and he's interested in like if we can get him like a 4 bed.
why doesn't he just get something that's $2,000 a month and then sublease it to get his payments down?
So yeah, there's a couple different options here, right?
Yeah.
He's really hooked on this rent to own thing, right? Option number one, which is the easiest, is just move into my previous client's place, rent the 1 bedroom for $800 a month and no issues, right? Another option is find a house that's for rent for like 2 grand a month and then split it with another person, 2 people on the lease. Um, the third kind of wishy-washy option is find a legitimate rent to own and then try to sublease that. That's the most complicated and high risk option in my opinion. And the last one, which is an idea that I had last night, and I haven't taken to him yet because I want to make sure that it's valid first, but I know that 6 months ago, when mortgages had interest rates of like 6.5%, new build homes were being sold for like $300,000 at a 3.9% interest rate. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
Interest rates are now down like 0.5%. They're now being written in the fives, right?
Okay.
So it's not completely unfeasible to find a brand new home built in middle of nowhere Palm Bay that's like a 4-bed, 2-bath for $315,000 and getting like a 3.4% interest rate. That's a possible option, right? And taking PMI and a down payment assistance program that my lender does and everything, with zero money down, you could probably get into the house for like $2,000 a month, right? And so if we can bring him this option and be like, listen, you can own a home for $2,000 a month, and then there's no one regulating who you rent your rooms out to. You could own a 4-bed, a 2-bath home for 2 grand a month and rent out 3 of the bedrooms, 2 or 3 of the bedrooms, depending on what you want. Um, and so I have not brought him that option yet because I don't know if that home exists. I want to find a specific home, run the calculations, clear it with my lender, and then bring him the opportunity and be like, listen, we reached out to these people on the MLS for rentals. My buddy has an open room. That's an option. I'm going to learn more about rent to own this evening or tomorrow because I know a lot of the risks involved, but I don't know a lot of the upsides involved. And so I'm
Mm.
aware that I'm negligent. So I'm going to learn more about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to find this buy opportunity. I'm going to bring that to him too.
Cool.
So that's where he's at.
Nice.
That's most of my real estate updates. Most of my week this week was spent financing. So hopefully I'll wrap that tax stuff up this weekend. Hopefully the open house goes well tomorrow. And then we can move forward. Maybe next week I'll have updates on doing virtual tours for those clients. But here's my big update. So let me get a drink of water real quick. Do you have anything to say? So last night, we're back. Last night, I'm doing my finance stuff all week. I'm telling Grace I'm excited because I found a new way that I can edit transactions in bulk, and I think I can get the whole thing done tonight. And then as we're leaving the house to go work, I'm scrolling through TikTok while Grace is getting her shoes on. And I find a TikTok from the company Delivered, who I've talked about on here before.
Yeah.
They're a company that you pay them $1,000 and then they go do new car negotiations for you. So you don't deal with the haggling with the dealership. You just tell the guy, I want a gray 2025 Hyundai Elantra. I want it for $32,000. Go find it. And then he goes and finds it. Usually he negotiates down below what you want. So usually he saves you money, but he doesn't actually advertise that. It just is like a happy byproduct, right? But he saves you the time and hassle. It's a company that I've talked about on the podcast before.
Yep.
I love this company so much. It's such a genius business proposition. And he live streams all his deals on TikTok and YouTube. And so he does the advertising while doing the work. It's
Yeah.
documentary style advertising. It's phenomenal. It's so smart. I love this company. And I have thought to myself before, I was like, dude, I mean, that's such a slam dunk business model. He's the only person I know who does it. There's no rivals. I could start a competing company and do the same thing. And then I thought about it and I was like, actually, I like this company so much. I don't want to compete with him. I would rather just help him in some way. And so I decided I have my Lexus, right? When I buy my next car, I really want it to be a new LC500. Let's just say in my fantasy world that it is, right? I'm going to call him and I'm going to do business with him and I'm going to let him live stream everything on it, whatever. Like I want to help him, right? So last night we're leaving the house and I find a TikTok and his company is hiring. And I was like, oh, interesting. I definitely don't want to haggle all day because that's not for me, but it's something that I'm passionate about. And Sanders looking for a job. So I'll send him this link. And so he's hiring a director of operations. So he needs someone to go in the business, look at their system, and then improve it. So right now they're doing like 55 to 60 car sales per week, which is really good. But they want to get that up to like 80 car sales per week without negatively impacting the customer experience, right? And so the base pay, if nothing changes, is $85,000 a year. And then if you hit that, there's performance metrics. So if you get up to 80 cars per week, like he wants to do, then your pay increases to $225K a year, which is alluring, right? But I sent this to you because I was like, "Oh, it's perfect, dude. It's a remote job that you do from home. It's improving systems. You're not actually managing people or doing any deals. You're just looking at their systems and then improving it. So it's chasing
Yeah,
efficiency.
yeah.
That's right up Sanders' alley." So I sent it to you, and then we went and we got dinner, and then I sat and I thought about it, and I was like, "This is actually right up my alley,
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, Mason should 100% apply to this.
dude."
Like
Yeah,
this is Mason's alley. I looked at, I thought it was cool, but I was like, I want Mason to apply to it. You know, I want you to see if you get it, because it seemed really up your alley, and I was like, I think he'd be good at this.
yeah. So I thought about it, and then I was like, I had told Grace about it when I sent it to you, and she
Yeah.
was like, "That sounds like a great opportunity." I was like, "Yeah." And then we got dinner, and I was like, "Dude, I keep thinking about this car." It had been 20 minutes, and I was like, "I keep thinking about this cardio thing." And she was like, "Apply." And I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "You can't say no if you don't have an offer." And I was like, "Okay." And so I thought to myself, I was like, I'm just gonna I'll update my resume in 10 seconds, and then I'll send it over to him. Like, I'm probably not gonna get anything back, but I'm just gonna throw something out there to say that I tried it. But then I watched his TikTok all the way through. And I was reminded, this guy's he's so cool. I feel like we get along personally really well because he's a friendly, nice guy, but he's also really, really driven. Like
Mm.
he is go, go, go. Like I have to be on the phone. Like when he's on, and when he's off, and he's chill.
Yeah.
But I can tell that he's business minded. He's not like a sit around. He tells people in the TikTok video, he's like, if you want a standard director role, this is not the job for you. If you want to just manage people, this is not the job for you. Do not waste my time. Do not apply. And that's exactly how I would make my pitch if I was hiring for
Yeah.
this role. Um, and so I thought about it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna jump in with both feet. So I pulled my resume up. I hadn't updated it in like years, like 4 or 5 years. And instead of updating it to be just my most recent stuff, I edited it to be stuff that is actually applicable. So like the bar system architecture is in there. The systems engineering stuff that I can talk about from work is in there. The SAE stuff is in there.
Yeah.
And the reason I have the SAE stuff in there, because we didn't really design a system per se, is I joined a team in a leadership position that I had no experience with, and then quickly learned the ins and outs and the common issues
Yeah.
that are in that team, and then made it work, right? And so that is also applicable to his business, where it's like I'm coming in, I have no idea, I'm a fast learner, and then I can make it efficient,
Mhm.
right? Um, so I updated my resume last night, and I went to apply, and there's a really interesting uh, attribute to this application that I'm not used to. They said, you fill out the standard fields like first name, last name, email, right? Upload your resume as a PDF, but they will not accept any application. They won't even look at it if you don't have a Loom link in there. Do you know what a Loom link is?
Oh man,
I d-
I know what this is, but I'm blanking right now.
I didn't know about it until recently.
Oh, I know what this is now, but go ahead. Yes, I
So
just remembered. Yes.
So Loom is a screen recording and video recording software,
Yeah.
right? So
It's like
essentially,
fancy Zoom.
yeah, kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So you
It
hit,
integrated with school as well, and like
I don't
I've
know
seen
that,
a lot of people, school.com.
yeah, I don't know if it's,
A lot of the people who do the courses, Loom will integrate with school, and so you'll put out a Loom video like a course.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So the premise is you hit record on your laptop. It records your screen and your camera. You can
yep.
disable whatever. It records your screen and your camera. And while you're recording, this is interesting, you can pause the video. So while I'm talking, I can hit pause, I can take a breath, and I can unpause and keep going. So I can edit in real time. Like I can pause and collect my thoughts and then continue going in real time. Fucking so cool. Once you're done with the video, you save it to your profile, and then instead of downloading that video and emailing it to someone, but it's too big, so you got to upload it to Google Drive and then send them a Google link and give them permission, or send it through iMessages and wait for it to send and then do an Apple iCloud link. None of that shit. You just send them a link to your Loom profile to that
Yeah.
video. So it's like making and uploading a YouTube video in YouTube in 10 seconds and then sending them a link to that video.
Mhm.
Genius. I love this. This Loom is owned by Atlassian. Famously, I say famously, and then I'm going to forget the year. I'm just going to say in 2021, let's say, James Vowles took over the Williams Formula One team from Claire Williams.
Mhm.
It's the first time Williams has been directed by someone who is not in the Williams family. Big deal. James Vowles used to be on the strategy and development team for Mercedes F1.
Yeah.
He was like Toto Wolff's like right-hand guy. And instead of climbing the ranks in Mercedes all the way up, he took ownership of Williams, who is a Mercedes customer. And he is completely revamping the team. When he got there, he was shocked to find that all of their data and all of their work was still being done in Excel. And that was a really big meme at the time because everyone was like, oh, yeah, they do everything in Excel. And then people were like, well, wait a minute. I don't know what else I would use because I use Excel for a lot of shit. So like, I don't know what I would do instead. And now their title sponsor is Atlassian.
Oh, okay, cool.
Atlassian, I am familiar with because we use some of their tools at work.
Okay.
So we use, I don't know if I can say which ones we use because it's my work, but Atlassian has a whole host of tools that you can use. I'm familiar with a lot of them. Some of them I really hate because my team doesn't use them properly, but they would be good if everybody used it correctly. But Loom is one of these tools. And I'm like, wow, this is another Atlassian tool that I am impressed by. And now it makes so much more sense that the Williams team is doing so much better because I can, like, if we had this during SAE, like we could have just made a video real quick of like whatever CAD problem and then sent it to a teammate that can watch it in 10 seconds and you can comment on the video at timestamps.
Yeah.
So you can pause the video, make a comment, and then I can go read your comments at specific time points. So cool. I love it. So he'll only accept the delivered guy, Tommy, will only accept applications that include a Loom link. And so last night I downloaded Loom immediately, learned how to use it. It took 10 seconds. It's really easy to learn. Finished my resume, but I haven't recorded my Loom video yet because I want to think about the order of operations I want to do. I only have like 1 to 3 minutes to talk. And I don't want to take up all 3 minutes, but I also don't want to take up 1 minute and talk really fast. So I'm going to kind of get like a organization in place, and then I'm going to go record it probably tonight or tomorrow. But I started off going, I'm just going to throw my resume in there and see what happens. And then I changed pretty quickly into, no, I'm going to give it my A game because this is something that I'm actually interested in and care about.
Mhm.
Because when I was thinking about it, I was like, there's very few jobs, like W-2 jobs, that would get me to pick up and leave where I'm at right now. I'm pretty happy right now. I get to work on cool shit. I get to tell people it's top secret. I get to tell people it's classified. And like the work itself is not super engaging, but it's also not super difficult.
Mm.
And I am underpaid for the level of work that I do. So I can tell people to fuck off. I can delegate. Like I have leverage here.
Mm.
I'm happy with where I'm 20 minutes from home. I'm happy with where I'm at.
Yeah.
Don't really want to move. I'd rather be promoted in Northrop than anything else, right? There's so few jobs that I would leave Northrop for. But when I thought about the opportunity here, my first thought instantly was in the interview, I want to tell him that I want to fly to Charlotte, North Carolina and meet the whole team. And I would do that at the drop of a hat. If I interview on Sunday, I'll quit my job on Monday and I'll buy a ticket for Wednesday. Like I will go, I want to meet the people in person. I want to understand what the whole team looks like in person. And then I can go do stuff remotely, right? But I want to go and I want to meet people in person. And then I thought, wow, you can't get me to fly anywhere. Northrop paid me to fly for travel in May, and I didn't want to go. Like you literally cannot pay me to go travel, but this is something that I'm willing to do of my own accord. And I think it's because it's a business that I'm really passionate about. I have experienced the problems that their customers experience through my Lexus. It's the worst, most traumatic memory of my entire life. And I really believe in his business model. And I'd seen hours of his footage negotiating. So I know how he conducts himself and how he does business. And I've also seen how he responds to naysayers in his comments. And it's just something that I really believe in and I'm really passionate about. And the whole job is just taking a system and then making it better, which is the whole reason I'm doing real estate is so that I can make enough money that I can go do that type of job in bars or in other businesses that I haven't learned about yet. But this is one of those businesses that if you gave me an unlimited money glitch right now, this is a business that I would be interested in going and contributing to.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, 225K a year is an infinite money glitch for me. But also, this is an industry that is largely uncontested and like he is the best in it right now. And so if I could get in at the ground level, he has 6 employees right now and contribute to growing that company, like 225K a year might not be the limit because 80 cars a week is great. But if that company scales, you could get I mean, how many new car sales are done every year, right? He's got
I don't know, tons though.
he's got a tiny market share there, but he could become like a standardized name, right? And the best part about his entire business and the reason that he does it, it's the same as dating apps. Like Hinge's whole motto, the dating app Hinge that I met Grace on, is it's the app that's meant for you to delete it.
Right.
You get on the app, you use it, you get rid of it. they're trying to run themselves out of business, right? He's doing the same thing. He has openly told dealerships, hey, this is what customers want. If you do this, you run me out of business, but I don't think you're going to do that. And so I'm going to help people until you help people, and then I'll go out of business. And when I go out of business, I go out of business. And that's the job that I want.
Mm.
I want the job that helps people and forces the system into helping people. And if they don't, then I'm going to make money on it and I'm going to help people instead. That's the job that I want.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
I'm super passionate about it. I have to figure out how to make that 10-minute riff fit into 3 minutes on Loom. And I'm going to run him through the system architecture we have designed, some of the SAE stuff. It's tough because I can't talk about any of my Northrop things, but I'm going to run him through the listing launch timeline that I have for real estate, because that's another system that I've built. So I'm just going to try to come up with all of the most impressive systems that I've put together
Yeah.
and figure that out. But from the sounds of it, in his application portal, it talks about like the big hurdles that they want to overcome. And it's essentially like they have key indicators that they use to measure like binarily how well their system is working. And so it's like if a customer has purchased the product, it's been 25 days and they haven't gotten their car yet, that's a red flag. And so that needs to be taken care of ASAP. We have to reduce the number of that happening as much as possible. So how do you make sure no one waits more than 25 days, right? That's especially difficult because now he's getting into the luxury car market. So like he had a video on an LC500. They want the Inspiration series, like Wind Gray LC500. That's another benefit to this job. I love cars, so I know a lot about cars, and I know the difference between the Acorn beige interior on the Lexus compared to the Palomino, because I love the Palomino and the Acorn makes me want to gouge my eyes out. So I can relate to customers on this, and I know how to speak to car code. So they have these key performance indicators, and it's like, okay, when we get a car allocated, we have to have someone assigned to the delivery process, and then someone assigned to accepting the delivery once it gets there to the customer, right? Both of those people need to be assigned within 24 hours of having the car allocated. If that's not done, that's a red flag. How do we decrease the number of those red flags? And so I don't really know if they're looking for someone to like code software, which I can't do directly, but I do know people who code, like Josh, and he does it quick. And so I'm wondering if I go into this interview and I'm like, listen, I really love optimizing systems. I might not know how to code what we need coded, but I know someone who can. And so, I mean, you know, to take it out of my salary and pay him or whatever. But like, if I can find the gaps and then, you know, conceptualize an answer and then make that answer materialize, I'm your guy. But if you need someone who's going to come in and do all the coding for you, I'm not your guy. I'm not afraid to say I'm not your guy. So that's the biggest update, honestly, this week in terms of like my passion, which is weird because I'm really cognizant about the women in the red dress stuff, and like I generally keep myself out of it. But this is kind of like skip stepping past real estate into what I would actually want to do. The only difference here is this would be a W-2 role. I would rather be in a 1099 contractor role with profit sharing or owning the company. But the way I see it is this gives me a ton of experience in what I want to actually be doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of money at the same time. Like if I were doing 225 a year in real estate, working 5 days a week, I would only have to do that for like a year or two before I could go pursue the consulting thing full time. And this could lead to a consulting job. I don't know. It's still a young company.
That's
So
true.
yeah, so I'm applying tonight or tomorrow. I'll film the Loom video and upload it.
Cool.
We'll see where it goes. I might not get anything, but at the very least, it's exciting. So I'm
Yeah.
spending some time doing it.
Very nice.
That is my
Hope
business
for the best.
update. Yeah, thank you. This is my business update this week. What lessons did you learn this week?
This week, I thought about the lesson a little bit. I think in working on the Porsche, part of it is accepting the unknown. Like there will be factors that I don't understand or do not know. Um, I saw a video online of it was a he's like an influencer. I mean, he has his own business. It's related to automotive.
Uh-huh.
I don't actually remember what the business is. I've just seen his face around a little bit. I don't follow him or anything like that. But I saw a video that he posted on my feed, and it was a picture. It was a little video of his Lamborghini getting delivered, and the captions were like, "Just a reminder: you can be lost at 26, have a business by 32, and be independently wealthy by 36."
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at that, and I was because part of the like the struggle I have is like my mind naturally goes to like how can I make this happen faster? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of like where my mind usually falls in a lot of different avenues that I drop into, whether it's racing, whether it's trying to build a business, whether it's advertising, whether it's just like generally working with someone on a project or whatever it is. It's like how can we get this done quick
Right.
and well. Of course, the workmanship has to be good. But looking at that video, like part of my struggle was like I was looking back at the last year and I was like, man, like if I had started blah 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 when I was 22 or 18
Right.
or whatever, then I would be X, right?
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda are the three richest people in the world. And um, looking at that video, it just like, made me feel a little bit better about like, like it's okay that I feel a little bit lack directed, have a lack of direction right now. I don't
Yeah.
know if I made up a term there, but um, like I'm gonna work through this step by step. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure out the debt. I'm gonna figure out the car. I'm gonna get into the community again and figure out what problems there are in motorsports that I could solve.
Right.
Um, One thing that I failed to mention that I just thought of now that the person I talked to in the shifter current community mentioned was she was talking to me about how she used to coach me in Tampa,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Do you remember?" I'll keep names out of it. She was like, "Do you remember the big team that was stationed at the track that had a permanent headquarters there?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, well," part of what she said was like they got kind of frustrated with her because they were losing clients to her.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, I was like, "Yeah, I mean, like," or I didn't actually say anything at that point. But I was like, "Okay, gotcha." And she was like, "Yeah, they were charging, I'll let you guess this, for cart maintenance, coaching, like a trailer with nice tent setup, like you're on the team, like you are part of this big, let's just say it is not this team, but let's just say it's Tony Kart to
Sure.
put a name to it. It's not that team though.
Yeah.
Let's say you show up Tony Kart, 18 wheeler, big tents, you got your coach, you got your data analysis, you got your mechanic for 1 3-day weekend
Mhm.
with that setup on this team. And there are other people also under these tents, right? With their own coach, mechanic, etc.
Yeah.
How much do you think these clients paid for a 3-day weekend?
I wouldn't be surprised to hear like 20 grand.
It's 20 grand.
Oh, nice, dude. Look at me
20
go.
grand.
That's a crazy amount.
To me, that's
That's expensive.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I knew these people.
Right. Right.
Like,
But you didn't know the money behind them.
no, but I was like, I was shocked. I was like, someone paid $20,000 to be under a branded tent.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. Like, I was
Well,
like,
yeah,
what?
you get the branded tent, you get a guy to take care of your cart, and then you have someone to tell you what you're doing wrong on track
For a 3-day weekend.
for a 3-day weekend. Yeah.
Well, if there's anyone behind the camera today or in the future, and you were paying $20,000 for a branded tent and a coach and a mechanic, they better be made of gold and silver. That is ridiculous.
Well, really,
Insane.
really, what you want from that.
There's so much you can do for 20 grand. Please don't blow it in 3 days on that. That is so insane. Like,
It depends on how much money you have too, right? Because like, if we had enough money that 200 grand was equivalent to $200, I would pay $200 for that experience. Why not? It's comfortable, right? Depending on how much money you have.
I mean that's fair, but like there's
But
a lot that you can do with 20 grand.
If you save and scrimp and save for 6 months and you can afford this 120 grand a weekend, don't fucking do it.
Yeah,
Get
that's ridiculous.
40 coaching lessons for the same price. That's way more worth it, right?
Yeah. But she was like, yeah, those clients were paying 20 grand a weekend. I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
You know what else
Um,
though? And I bet this goes a lot further than either of us really know. I bet being under that tent plays the popularity game and the politics game a lot, which probably holds more weight than I want to give it credit for.
Potentially. I think that game has sadly become more and more prevalent over the years.
Yeah.
Um, it didn't used to be too much like that.
Right.
But Andre Martin and I talked with at Orlando Kart Center the last time I went, and he was like, "Yeah, the politics have gotten really bad." I think I told you a couple of the stories from,
I don't remember.
the last year in Super Nationals in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
There were over 500 different petitions
Oh, I
through the
remember that.
official FIA board. Like crazy stuff like this. Like
Yeah.
essentially, like
Track
parents are
penalty
just
stuff.
leveraging penalties and staff officials in order to get points instead of like actually just being quicker.
Right.
Um, so I think more of that has started to go on and stuff like that, but like part of me looked at that and I was like, that is an insane amount of money
Yeah.
to put down, and like I look at where I'm going right now and it's very foggy. Like every other day, Sammy will be like, well, like, what's your direction? What's your plan? I was like, there is no plan.
Yeah.
Like, there is car that is currently not running. I would like to get running. That is the plan.
Yeah.
Like, there is literally nothing else.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude,
and so,
what's craziest about the 20 grand thing is that they were losing clients to her.
yeah,
Which
and
tells
and I know firsthand she did not charge 20 grand,
exactly.
right? And
Well,
but
she
she's
doesn't.
really good. She's
I'm
she's a
assuming.
very good driver.
I'm assuming she doesn't have a giant trailer with AC and a tent and like all this other shit,
Yeah.
and like a staff of mechanics. But I'm willing to bet that the information that she has is more valuable, which
Yes.
is why people would go to her instead,
Yeah.
right? Which just goes to show you how important information and education is, right? Like
Yeah.
generational wealth is education, not money.
Yeah, and she had a very similar approach to how she started coaching, where she would go to the track and kind of give free, unsolicited advice to people that she saw could use some help, and
Right.
then eventually those became clients, and then referrals, and then
Right.
etc.
Right.
So she had a very similar approach to what like my initial mental model was,
Right.
which I thought was cool and reassuring in some sense. Although I had a fair amount of confidence that that would work that way, just because
Yeah.
I used to be around the scene quite a bit, and I saw that play out.
Right.
And also like I experienced getting coaches, right? And it was a similar story. So
Right.
kind of understand it from that standpoint. But I do want to mention one thing. I could have put this in the business update, but I just thought of it. I'm kind of thinking through these things of like lack of direction, working through the unknown, like not really seeing a clear path. And there was a video by Haggerty on YouTube, and it was of this guy in his 30s. He was a designer for Oakley, and he did a bunch of stuff for Oakley, and then he built this business around like automotive, but like other weird niche stuff. Like he builds watches and sculptures and like this but like
Right.
doing well. Like nice place that he has. Like he's got his design room and all this stuff. It's not like a shed. Like
Right.
it's nice. And Haggerty was reviewing his LS3 open wheel formula car
Ooh.
modeled after it was the
A Lotus.
it wasn't the Lotus. It was another one, but a similar era, like very
Graham Clark Lotus.
yes, very
Yeah.
similar to that. I'll figure out the name later, but they were testing his replica of that car with an LS3. And I was looking at that car and like watching the guy drive it, and I was like, I think that down the line, I don't see how this would play out. Like, I don't have any model to understand like how this works beyond like a misdirected 5,000 things that I want to do in motorsport.
Right.
But like looking at that car, I was like, it really spoke to me of like that is something that I want to build.
Dude,
You know?
have I told you about so Shaw and I were building the Lexus.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
fucking 10 projects. We had okay, I'm gonna let you finish, then I'm gonna interject.
No, I watched that car and I was like listening to that motor
Yeah.
and the car tearing around and like the open wheel style, like going through these South Carolina hills.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is and it was street legal,
Right.
completely street legal.
Right.
And I was like, what? It's interesting because for whatever reason, I find the Pagani cool, and I find like the new Lamborghini's cool and all this stuff. But there is something way more attracting to me about something older and slower with more soul.
Mhm.
And like it doesn't have to be the quickest, it doesn't have to be the fastest, but like something that is like challenging to drive in some respects, but also niche and like older and very, very mechanical. Like that's what I love about the F40.
Yeah.
That's what I love about old Porsches. It's what I love about older open wheel formula cars, you know. And like I have my oddball of like the modern cars that I really, really like. Like I
You're allowed to like more than one thing. Right.
yeah, and like I always have loved the Aventador SVJ.
Yeah.
That's just like sick. It's
Yeah.
just super, super cool. And it's like not even that modern at this point. But
Yeah, that's a shock.
right. That's wild to think about. I remember when that car came out. I was like
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
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 Um,
Our Countach.
yeah.
SVJ.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, stuff like that, like it draws me in way more. And it's like, that open wheel formula car, like I'm sure you could build the better, faster, more stable, more streamlined version of that car. And
Right.
also, like I don't really care. Like it's just that like old nostalgic
Yeah.
style of and like watching that car, you could tell like it was a scary car to drive.
Yeah.
Like weighed 700 kilos
Right.
and with 550 horsepower.
Yeah.
So it's like 1,500
And no
pallets
downforce.
with 500 horsepower.
And no downforce.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
No wings at all.
Yeah.
And so it's like that car, like watching that car, it was like, oh shit, like this is something like you got to handle.
Yeah.
And so like that was really cool. And so kind of looking at like the motorsports future, like I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah.
Kind of just prospecting. But what's your Shaw story?
Shaw and I were building a 1999 Lexus SC300, which is the same chassis as the 4th gen Toyota Supra,
Yep.
but it's a luxury car, Lexus Toyota. And it had a 2JZ GE engine. We were turbocharging it, but not only were we turbocharging it, it had a full internal component swap out, all forged internals. We mounted it to a T56. We had a custom length aluminum drive shaft to make up for that. We had a differential from a GS 400 to have a higher final drive ratio so we could hit higher top speeds. Redid the braking system. We revamped the whole car. In the middle of doing all that, we got sad about how expensive everything was, and so we decided to buy a shit box. So we bought a 1980s Toyota Cressida wagon with the automatic seat belts that come back on you, right? That was a fucking shit box, but it was a fun car. And so we started restoring that. And while we were doing that, we found a 1974 Fiat, a Barth, it's convertible, that we wanted to buy with a fucked up transmission. So we took the transmission out and replaced the clutch, and that helped a lot. And then while we were doing that, we were like, we need a utility vehicle because the Cressida is a closed box, but we were building a new shop, so we need something that can fit a bunch of stuff. So we went to the plumbing company across the street and bought one of their, I think it was an F-150 utility vehicle with the boxes in the back, right? And in the middle of doing all that, I was like, listen, bud, we should sell all these, but the Lexus, and we should build one mega race car. And so we were thinking about doing that because we liked all the old weird shit, but they need so much work, and like, driving a Fiat with 60 horsepower is not enjoyable.
Yeah.
So we were thinking about what we wanted to buy, and I really wanted to build a rally car. And he did not want to build a rally car because he was like, well, we're going to work on a car for 3 years and then wrap it around the tree.
Yeah.
Which is a fair assessment. Plus, I really liked the off-road rally shit, and he did not. He liked the street legal, like, drive it on the roads thing. And so I was like, okay, well, what if we build a car that is more race car than the Lexus, because Lexus is a luxury car, but it is really fast. And he said, okay. And so we were thinking about what we wanted to do. And I realized that you could buy retired IndyCar carbon fiber tubs and mount that to, there's like a 2006 BMW with a V10. It's like a 5-liter V10.
Yeah. It was the M5 gen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that engine sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And as far as BMW goes, it's one of the more reliable engines from what I've heard. One of the more reliable engines.
Yeah.
Not
reliable.
One of the more reliable.
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of. But I was like, listen, we can get one of these X chassis for like a couple $1,000, get one of these engines for like a couple $1,000, and we just build the rest of it, right? Like it can't be that expensive. Like we can fab like the space frame bit in the back, like we can build this out. The most expensive part is probably going to be building a body for it because I really wanted it to look like the MP45 from 1989. And I wanted the like same color scheme, same logos and everything like that, but street legal, so like side mirrors and shit. I guess there's side mirrors on the real car. But I really wanted to make a street legal version of that with the BMW V10 because I couldn't afford a fucking like $80,000 like Jeb V10. Like it's just not in the cards. But I really wanted to build that car. And so like that would be fucking super cool.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. But that was my dream while we were building the Lexus is I was like, okay, when it's my turn to pick the car, that's what I want to do. Is I want a fucking open wheel like V10 race car for the street.
Yeah. And so it was cool to see that video. It was it got me thinking a little bit and whatever. But that's about what I have for Lessons Learned this week.
Cool.
What do you have for Lessons Learned?
Mine, I was struggling to think of something. I remembered in the middle of writing that we're going racing today, which is fun. We've talked about it for a long time and we've never done it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to go. I think we'll probably get like 3 races in a piece. So yeah, I'm excited. We'll take some video and then we'll splice that into probably next week's episode. But when I was thinking about like what lessons I learned this week, a lot of my week was taken up doing the finance stuff and it was just fucking drowning in it. There was a lot. And the way my finance tool is set up, it's like when you tell it like, hey, I transferred money from my checking account to the savings account, You have to categorize that based on the direction the money is flowing, not the direction it's coming from.
Mm.
But the payee is different. So like like they actually link between the accounts. And so if I miscategorize one, it actually calculates the balance wrong in the other account. And so it was really a pain in the ass for me to balance everything out perfectly. But I could have just set an opening balance at the beginning of the year and then gone from there just to do my taxes for this year and be done with it. But I decided no, I'm going to do all of it from top to bottom, balance everything out from the oldest transaction I have available, which for some of the accounts is opening the account. Um, and so I'm going all in with that. And then again, with the, job application, I started off going, "Oh, well, I could just do something like real quick." And then I decided, "No, no, I'm gonna go all in and do full effort," right? So, I think the lesson that is applicable this week, not that it's the first time learning it, but, um, my grandpa used to say, "If you're gonna do something, jump in with both feet. Like, don't
Mhm.
push your foot around. Do all in." And Alex Hormozy has a similar quote, which is the difference between distraction and opportunity is follow through. If you don't have the time to dive in, don't dip your toe in the water. And
Mm.
so, similar to the job application with the finance stuff, I was like, I'm not going to do just the last year. I'm going to do all of it. I'm not going to do this light job interview. I'm going to go all in. And so that I guess is the lesson that is relearned this week.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
but yeah, that's all I got really.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Would you like to dial us in?
I do. You remembered this week.
I did, yeah.
Um, so this is a quote. Again, I couldn't think of one, but I remembered from your update last week and kind of like the listlessness and the directionlessness, which I was going to comment on before I started talking about the open wheel car. Because Sammy was talking about how it's just like, what's the plan, right?
Yeah.
It sucks to not have a plan, right? It
Mm.
sucks to not have, like, a clear direction that you go in. I think it's one of the main contributing reasons that people do the, like, get good grades, go to college, get a job, and then get
Yes.
promoted at that job because it's a very clear direction, right? And not having one sucks because you kind of feel like you're in purgatory, and if you're not moving forward, then you're not moving at all.
Hmm.
And I know what that feels like. It sucks. Um, but I think it's probably better to take some time to not progress in a specific direction and just be present for a minute to figure out the direction that you want to go in, because if you rush a decision, you might end up going in a direction that isn't the best,
Mm.
right? Like if you just gut reaction to like, okay, I'm getting out of drop shipping and now I'm going to start a dog kennel, right? That I think is when it starts to get into crash out like midlife crisis territory,
Yeah.
right? Like when someone is going headstrong in one direction and then they hit a wall and then so then they full steam direction the other way. That's when people start to go, "Hey, are you having a crash out?" Because I get it, you were all in on this one direction. Now you're all in on this totally new thing that's in a completely different realm. I think it's probably better to take some time, think about where you want to go, put yourself in the like really broad category of what you think you're interested in, and then figure out a path from there. So, like, I understand, especially with someone who usually has like a very clear cut path, like it would be unusual for you or I to be in your current situation where it's like, I don't know, I'm just going to vibe and figure it out and then pick a direction from there.
Mhm.
When people in our lives hear about that, it's weird, right? Um, so I understand, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. I think it's
Yeah, yeah.
probably the best decision to make. So the quote that I have from last week, because like last week was the like, I have to get out of drop shipping. Like the whole last year has sucked and now I'm done. Um, the quote that I have picked out in relation to that is no work is wasted. I'm the output of the work, not the outcome.
Yeah. I like that.
That's all I got.
Cool. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Vision 79 podcast. Hopefully you have a great week coming up, and we will see you next time.